Okay. I think most of you know who I am, Tom Sheehy, and the fifth headmaster at Canterbury, finishing up my 25th year. And this is the beginning of one heck of a celebration. 100 years in the making, as they say, the party of the century, and I'm sure you'll have your own words to describe your feelings after this weekend. But it's my pleasure to welcome you and to start the weekend off. First off, we are going to talk about and have the initial inductees into the Athletics Hall of Fame. And it's thanks to a committee that has worked throughout the year, spearheaded by Lindsay Mulhern and Doug Familetti, class of 1990. Now, prior to Lindsay's arrival at Canterbury last year, Lindsay spent 12 years teaching in independent schools, including Groton and the Hill School. At Canterbury, she teaches English 3 and 4 and assists with the writing lab. She has spent 15 years coaching women's lacrosse to girls of all ages and notes that her 2 World Cup championships with the United States under-19 teams are her biggest coaching honor. She played lacrosse at James Madison University, where she was a 2-time captain and all-conference defender. Lindsay resides in South House with her husband, Matt, who's a class of 95 and here, not back, but here for his 20th. He is Canterbury's Director of Admission and their 4 sons. Doug Familetti. Doug, the class of 1990, is the President and Chief Investment Officer of Griffin Asset Management, an employee-owned, New York City-based firm managing $400 million. He began his investment career in 1996 with Massachusetts Financial Services and then joined Griffin Asset Management for 4 years as an equity research analyst. In 2000, he switched to Goldman Sachs Institutional Sales Desk and thought better of it and returned to Griffin in 2004. Doug earned a BA in economics from Hamilton College, where he was captain of the hockey team and a member of the lacrosse team. His brother Brian is a member of the class of 1994. Doug is also a current trustee. So it is my honor to present both Lindsay Mulhern and Doug Familetti.
Thanks, Tom. Before I begin, I would like to publicly thank the members of the Hall of Fame Committee for their countless hours of work on this project. Doug Familetti, class of 90, Bill Mara, class of 97, Patty McCarthy, class of 94, and faculty members Dave Wilson, Missy Babington, Brian Kiefer, Jen Loperzano, and Kathy Halkett. The Canterbury School Athletics Hall of Fame is being founded to honor, pay tribute, and perpetuate the memory of those individuals who, either through participation, support, or interest, have made outstanding contributions in the field of athletics and who have helped bring recognition, honor, distinction, and excellence to Canterbury School. To review, the decision to launch an Athletics Hall of Fame was made public in the summer of 2014, and nominations were solicited until December of last year. To our elated surprise, we received over 100 nominations from alumni, parents, faculty, and friends of the school. In January, the Hall of Fame Committee began our work, and tonight we will introduce 10 athletes, 4 coaches, and 3 teams to our inaugural class. The criteria for selection varies from individual athletes to coaches and teams, and although our list of criteria is long, here are quick snippets of requirements. Individual athletes must be at least 10 years removed from the school and have achieved notable individual success at Canterbury and beyond. Canterbury teams are eligible for selection after the 15th anniversary of their winning season. Coaches elected to the Hall of Fame may no longer be affiliated with the school, or their retirement needs to be pending. Hall of Fame coaches must have a career-winning record or have established a Canterbury sport to be eligible. Without further ado, I'd like to ask Trustee Doug Familetti, class of 90, to join me as we introduce the 2015 inaugural Hall of Fame class.
Thank you, Lindsay, and it's great to be back here. This is my 25th reunion. It's hard to believe that it was that long ago that I was here, not only in the classroom, but also on the sports fields. It's changed an awful lot, and I'm very excited about being involved with this Hall of Fame and the original, or I should say the inaugural class. Lindsay's done a great job organizing, digging up archives, and I'm going to start with the first inductee who graduated in 1934. So maybe there's a few people that played with him in the audience. I'm not sure, but I know that I didn't. But from his resume, I'm sure that I would have loved to have been on his team. So the first person into the Hall of Fame, Bernard H. Ritter, class of 1934. At Canterbury, he was known as Bernie, competed in hockey, golf, baseball, baseball, tennis, football, and field hockey. So I didn't know that we had six sport athletes, but it's pretty incredible what he accomplished here. But his lasting fame came on the squash courts. He was imposing at 6'5". He was the two-time school champion, and in college became known as the Princeton Bomber, with a mammoth forehand and blinding serve. Bernie captained the elite Princeton team and was twice runner-up in the National Intercollegiate Squash Championships. After athletics and after Princeton, he was very successful. Professionally, he served as publisher of 4 family-owned newspapers in Duluth and St. Paul, taking Ritter Publications public in 1969. As president and CEO, he presided over the merger with Knight Newspapers in 1974. Bernie was an avid golfer and served on the executive committee of the USGA, United States Golf Association. His continued enthusiasm for sports led to Ritter Newspaper's 1/3 ownership of the Minnesota Vikings franchise, where he served as chairman of the board for 16 years. Now I'm going to hand it over to Lindsay for the second person.
Our next inductee is a man I've been obsessed with for an entire year, and if he were still living, I may leave my husband for him. But Anthony B. Budahy, class of 1943. Tony Budahy was arguably the greatest all-around Canterbury athlete of the school's first quarter century. He earned 14 varsity letters in football, ice hockey, swimming, and baseball at a time when Nelson Hume only gave 2 to 3 varsity letters per season. As a 3-sport captain in football, hockey, and baseball, Tony's legacy and excellence extended across forms. For decades, Tony was known as the King of the Hill, dominating the winter season, when he would be missing from the ice to swim his coveted 50 free. Described at the 10th homecoming game by the, quote, old-timers as, quote, the greatest of all the Canterbury football greats, he was touted for years after graduation. A quote from a 1942 tabard says it all. Tony was the human dynamo and spearhead who dominated both the offensive and defensive play of the 11, the man who made 3/4 of the tackles and 1/2 of the yardage. Tony made 7 touchdowns and kicked an extra point for a season total of 43 points. After graduation, Tony deferred Yale, enlisted, and was stationed in a training unit at Miami University of Ohio, where he starred in football. Doug?
The next person is Lee Comfort, class of 1962. Lee's sporting resume reached far and wide. He earned 8 varsity letters in football, basketball, baseball, and tennis. During his 3-year varsity reign, the football team was an impressive 14-2-2. Lee scored 20 touchdowns in 3 seasons, at least a touchdown a game for 3 years. Known for his blazing speed and dazzling sidesteps out of the backfield, his touchdowns were often called comforting. It's good. The 1962 Tabard graduation issue saw fit to state Lee Comfort, perhaps the finest athlete in the school for 3 years, led the team with spectacular football. Lee was also a starting guard on the 1962 basketball team, noted by coach Bob Ray as the strongest squad he ever coached. After graduation, Lee enrolled at Williams College, where he lettered in football. During the 1964 season, Williams recorded a record of 7-1, with Lee starting at wingback.
Our next inductee from the class of 1965 is William J. Gilbane Jr. Bill Gilbane epitomized the definition of a Canterbury athlete. Awarded Best All-Around Athlete at the 1965 Parents' Dinner, Bill participated on 4 different teams during his tenure. A two-way player on the football team, captain of hockey, and a letter winner in golf and baseball, Bill was a true saint. After graduation from Canterbury, Bill went on to play Division I hockey for 3 years at Brown University, recording a combined 49-26 and 4 record over that span. A featured Athlete of the Month from a profile in the Tabard colorfully describes Bill's hockey prowess. Quote, when the Kent hockey coach was asked how to stop Billy Gilbane when on the ice, the disheartened mentor remarked, "The only way you can stop that boy is to lock him in the locker room." Billy had 4 goals that day, and his varsity hockey aggression had just destroyed Kent for the 2nd year in succession. The Providence Flash, who was born with skates on and who grew up in a hockey atmosphere, is so versatile that he has played every position par excellence except for goalie in the 2 years he has been at Canterbury. A great competitor and a picture of bruising grace when he's on the ice, Bill was always the first to the puck and always seemed to come up with an inspiring play. Probably the best hockey player to don a Canterbury uniform in a decade, Billy Gilbane has given Canterbury some of its finest and most exciting moments in sport.
I'm glad that a hockey player gets that type of applause. It's great. So the next person is F. Gordon Lawson, class of 1968. The following passage was recorded in the Tabard. When Francis Gordon Lawson arrived at Canterbury 3 years ago, wrestling was non-existent. The absence didn't bother Gordy as much as the startling discovery that no one was willing to go out of their way to start the sport. Nobody, that is, but F. Gordon Lawson. But his sophomore year, Gordon had stirred up enough notice that the manly art that he was able to secure a team and some second-hand mats to launch Canterbury's first grappling endeavor. Gordon's name is synonymous with Canterbury wrestling, founding the program and leading the sport to varsity status with 22 students recruited from scratch. He went on to become an early coach, 3-time captain, and competitive juggernaut with an incredible undefeated career record of 16-0-1, as the Tabard reported. Gordon's classmate, Mike Mazzaroli, succinctly defined his legacy. As much as any student was ever the heart and soul of a sport at Canterbury, it was Gordy and Saints wrestling.
From the class of 1971, Matthew P. Dwyer. Much as Lawson was to wrestling, so was Matt Dwyer to lacrosse, convincing Headmaster Sheehan to formally start a program. From a 1971 Tabard, quote, this spring, Canterbury has begun its first varsity lacrosse season. The names Matt Dwyer and Mike Whalen should send a chill up the spine of the most fearless opposition. Canterbury is aided very much this year by these 2 fine captains. Both are more than proficient in their skills and leadership. Matt, as leader of the attack, is by far the high scorer. A Manhasset, Long Island native, Matt has been involved in lacrosse since childhood as a player, coach, administrator, and nonprofit board member. The Boston Globe has called him, quote, the greater Boston's Pied Piper of lacrosse. A 4-year starter at Dartmouth College, Matt's love for the game has made him a pioneer in the sport. He coached at Phillips Exeter Academy and founded the Weston Mass Youth Lacrosse League, of which he remains an active board member. In addition, Matt co-founded the Massachusetts Bay Youth Lacrosse League in 1993, which included girls in 1995. As of 2011, approximately 920 teams comprise the Massachusetts Bay Youth Lacrosse League. Formerly the chair of the board at Metro Lacrosse, Matt remains an active board member of this education-based lacrosse organization, which provides free equipment and guidance to 750 children in the Boston area. Matt hasn't just grown the sport of lacrosse for the youth of Boston, he is the founder and current president of the Boston Cannons, the 2011 Major League Lacrosse Championship team.
Okay, the next person, class of 1978, Gerald V. Vanas. While at Canterbury, Jerry ran varsity cross country all 4 years and was the co-captain in his 6th form. He played varsity hockey for 3 years and ran varsity track all 4 years, being named tri-captain in his 6th form. Jerry played a pivotal role in the 40-0 win streak for the Saints Harriers, culminating in consecutive New England Class B cross-country championships in 1975 and 1976. Varsity track had great back-to-back seasons in 76 and 77, where Jerry, in an undefeated season, broke both the school 1 and 2 mile records. In 1977, Jerry led the cross-country team to a second-place finish in the New England Class A cross-country championships. After graduation, Jerry attended the University of Connecticut, where his running prowess was further cultivated and honed in cross-country and track. He was named co-captain of the cross-country team in 1981, where he placed 4th in New England's and 9th in the District 1 race. With the fastest time for a Yukon runner at this point, Jerry led the team to a second place finish in the Providence TAC, 2nd in the New England's, 3rd in the District 1 NCAA race, and 27th at the NCAA championships in Wichita. A native of New Milford, he would grace the annual 8-miler with his presence, coming in first in 82, 84, and 86. He ventured out of New Milford when the Boston Marathon called in 1984, and incredibly took second place by a little over 4 minutes behind the first place finisher with a stunning time of 2 hours, 14 minutes, 49 seconds. That sounds like my half mile. He further pursued his passion by running professionally all over the world with Team Adidas.
From the class of 1985, Marcia Simpson. Committed, intense, and energetic, Marcia was a star at Canterbury. Captain of the soccer, basketball, and track teams, Marcia earned 12 letters in her 4 years at Canterbury. Awarded the best all-around athlete at graduation, Marcia dominated the fields and the court, setting records in the shot put and the discus while competing in the 100 and 400-yard dashes. Marcia was awarded the Dr. Nelson Hume Award given at graduation to the sixth former who best embodies the ideals of the founding headmaster. After matriculating to Princeton University, Marcia continued to excel in all areas of her life while successfully competing on the Tigers track and field team.
So I joked about the first person I introduced, but I can honestly say that this person was somebody that I not only played hockey with, but also played soccer and graduated with. Class of 1990, arguably one of the most decorated athletes in the history of Canterbury School, Michael Dunham. Mike unquestionably has the most illustrious sports resume of any Canterbury graduate. During his time at Canterbury, Mike lettered in soccer, hockey, tennis, and baseball, captaining the 11-5 soccer team his junior year, which actually turned out to be his senior year because he got pulled away to Maine after his junior year. He had enough credits to graduate. As a first-team All-New England goalie for Canterbury, Mike was recruited by and started at the University of Maine for 3 seasons, 1990 to 1993, where he led the team to the 1992-93 NCAA Division I championships with a 21-1-1 record and a 2.6 goals against average in 25 games. Mike finished his collegiate career with a 41-6-3 record and a 2.72 goals against average in 55 games, and was a 2010 Maine Hall of Fame inductee. His decorated hockey career then spanned 13 professional seasons in the National and American Hockey Leagues, including a Calder Cup championship with the Albany River Rats in 1995. During that championship run, Mike was co-winner of the Jack A. Butterfield Trophy as MVP of the Calder Cup playoffs. Over the next 3 seasons, he posted a 53-20-12 record, including a professional best 30 wins in 1995-1996. Mike won the Harry Hap Holmes Memorial Award for Outstanding Team Goaltending on the way to the Calder Cup Championship. Mike made his NHL debut with the New Jersey Devils in 1996 and played 394 games over the next 10 seasons with Atlanta, Nashville, New Jersey, New York Islanders, and the New York Rangers. He finished his career with a 141, 178, and 42 record, a 2.74 goals against average in the NHL, and a .908 save percentage. Mike also represented the U.S. Olympic team on 3 separate Olympic teams, including the silver medal winning team in 2002. Mike is in his 7th season as the head goalie coach for the New York Islanders. And I have to say that he was an incredibly gifted athlete, not just in hockey, but he was all scholastic in soccer as well, and he was an amazing golfer and tennis player. So it was almost a simple decision for our committee. So thanks.
Our final individual athlete and the youngest, from the class of 2003, Lilly Bird. Lilly galvanized a new sport for women during her Canterbury career, dominating her signature pole vaulting event while breaking school and state high school records along the way, against the boys. She competed against boys, not girls. Among her achievements at Canterbury, Lilly was a 3-time New England pole vault champion in 2002 and 2003, with an 11-foot 3-inch record that held until 2009, and a 2-time New England Junior Olympic champion. Her sprinting prowess brought 3 New England place winning titles in the 100 and 2-meter dash, and her 27.62 in the 200 still holds 12 years later as our current record. Not surprisingly, Lilly was a 3-time track and field MVP. She was also a 4-year member of the varsity soccer team, including the 2002 7-1-1 Western New England Small School Champions. Lilly was a Ted Alex Sportsmanship Award winner. She was recruited by Dartmouth and continued to earn awards as a valuable athlete during college, competing in England as well as many Ivy League championships. She took 2nd place in an Ivy League competition at the Armory in New York City. That concludes our individual athletes, and we are now going to move on to our 4 coaches.
Thank you. So the first coach is Dr. Nelson Hume. Nelson Hume, Canterbury's founder and headmaster for 33 years, was a staunch supporter of the Sports for All policy. He felt that being outdoors was therapeutic and blamed any illness in the school on the fact that boys had not been able to spend as much time outside as he would have liked. Although he had brought soccer to the Hume School in New Rochelle, he could see that the new Canterbury school could not, in its first year, support 2 sports in any season. Nelson selected 9-man football as the fall sport, hockey as the winter sport, and baseball as the spring sport. What saved Canterbury in any winter, according to Nelson, was the hockey season. Hockey was his great love, and he personally coached the team. During the early years, the players used the natural pond on the Pell property, north of the school. In the fall of 1919, construction began on the new outdoor ice hockey rink and track, becoming the first athletic facility Nelson sponsored.
Our next coach is Philip H. Brody. Phil Brody served as Canterbury's first director of athletics, as well as the football, basketball, swimming, and baseball coach over a 35-year career. He was awarded a Canterbury Medal in 1995. His portrait graces the Brody Room in the Alumni Gymnasium, and the Brody Award for Exceptional Achievement and All-Around Service to the school is given each graduation. Phil was known as an exceptional coach during his reign at Canterbury, with his most notable work coming in the pool. The members of the swim team were known as Brody Men, and their legacy of success under Phil stretched across generations, including the 1934 undefeated swim team that captured the state championship at Trinity College.
So the next person had a nickname within the hockey community, and I learned this in, I think, 1987 when I was looking at boarding schools, and they called him the Dean of Prep School Hockey, Charlie Huntington. Happy to have his son, Chris, here. I had the privilege of playing for Charlie my 2 years here, and my brother played for him for 1 year. And it was a really special time of our hockey careers. Charlie Huntington arrived in Canterbury in 1969 and served for 30 years. Charlie coached soccer, hockey, and baseball and was the athletic director from 1971 to 1981 and 1986 to 1988. He was the boys varsity hockey coach from 1972 until 1993. Under his guidance, the program went, this is a pretty incredible record, 303, 146, and 25, which is a winning percentage of .640. He was the force behind the building of the hockey rink and developed Canterbury's first girls hockey program. Charlie finished his coaching career working with the girls hockey team from 1993 until 1999. The Best Girls Scholar Athlete Award is named after Charlie. He was also the founder of the New Milford Youth Hockey and Soccer programs. Former Canterbury student and player Jacques Joubert, 90, said, "He not only helped several hockey players go on to have great collegiate and professional careers, he also helped them become better people."
Our final coach is Jack Carpeau. The 1980 Canterbury football team enjoyed its most successful season in 21 years, ending the campaign with a perfect record of 8 wins, 0 losses, and 0 ties. Under Jack's fine coaching, the squad amassed 4 shutouts and outscored its opponents 162 to 56. The highlight of the season was a 7-0 victory over Wyoming Seminary, the first defeat for Wyoming Seminary in 5 years. Jack was already a legend before arriving at Canterbury and was inducted into the Trinity Pauling Athletic Hall of Fame, having coached the football, basketball, and baseball teams to numerous undefeated and championship teams. Jack was a graduate of Clark University, where he captained the baseball and basketball teams, and he also boasted a year of professional baseball in the St. Louis Cardinals farm system.
So that's the coaches. We're moving on to the teams now. We have 3 teams. This was probably one of the hardest decisions because there's been so many great teams that have come through this school over the last 100 years, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot more to be inducted over the coming years that were either undefeated, won New England championships, and the 3 that we've identified were incredibly successful during their time. So the first one is the 1930 baseball team coached by Joseph Maloney and captained by Henry Schneck, was, according to our records, the first undefeated team in any sport in the school history.
I had a lot of fun researching this next team, the 1966 swim team. The 1966 swim team, coached by Bill Dalton and captained by Pedro Torres, was a fiercely talented group of young men. During the 1966 season, an astonishing 8 new school records were set. Ed Wallace set the school record in the 50 and 100-yard free. The 200 free was set by Mike Foley, while the 400 free was broken by Jack Coons. Pedro Torres set the new mark in the 100 butterfly, while Barry McDonald did the same in the 100 backstroke. The 200-yard medley relay team of Fenley, McDonald, Torres, and Wallace set a new mark, while the 400-yard free team of Fenley, Coons, Foley, and Wallace set the record in their event. Among the accomplishments of this uncommonly talented team was a culminating first-place finish in the Connecticut Independent School Swimming Association's championship at the end of their season. Congratulations.
Okay, the last but definitely not least, girls soccer team, 1989, New England champions. After a respectable 11-5 regular season, the Saints qualified for postseason play. After winning their first 2 rounds, the team faced Governor Dummer in the New England Small School Championship at Pomfret School. Down 3-0 at the half, the contest seemed over. As snow began to fall, the Dummer girls had hats and mittens on and were laughing and joking on the field. They thought the game was done. The 89 team stormed back and tied the game in regulation. The game went into a shootout, and after goals by Kelly Buckley, Ashley Poston, and Kristen Dunham, the game remained tied and was forced into sudden death. Patricia Sardoni, 92, was a wall in net, while Megan McDonald, 90, clinched the game for the Saints with her game-winning goal in sudden death overtime. So, a great first class of Hall of Fame inductees. I'm sure there are many people that were nominated, people that are like, I can't believe this person didn't get in. And I have to say, it was a very hard process. I know of many people that were incredible athletes here, incredible athletes after school. I'm sure they'll eventually get in, and we just wanted to make the first class represent the school and the 100-year history. We left All-Americans off, we left NCAA champions off, but I think that we have a wonderful first class to induct in October at the dinner, and we're very excited to get this Hall of Fame, which is long overdue, started at Canterbury after a great 100-year history of sports. Thank you.
Thank you.